Wait. Ha 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 ha. Oh, you thought that was gonna end me? Nah. Come closer. Listen carefully. This part matters. What they did wasn't just wrong. It wasn't just betrayal. It was calculated. It was intentional. They knew what it would do to you, and they did it anyway. That's what made it foul. See, pain from accidents, you recover. But pain from intention, that changes you. And it did. At first, it cracked something inside you. Not your strength, no. Your trust, your belief in people, your expectation of fairness. For a moment, you went quiet. Not peaceful quiet. The kind of quiet where your mind is loud, replaying everything. What did I do? Why me? How could they? That's the trap. Because while you were asking questions, something deeper was happening. You were adapting slowly, piece by piece. You stopped reacting like the old you. You stopped explaining, stopped defending, stopped trying to be understood. And that's when the shift began. You started watching more than talking, listening more than trusting, thinking more than feeling. Not because you lost your heart, but because you learned not everyone deserves access to it. That pain, yeah, it didn't leave. It just changed form. It became awareness. It became discipline. It became control. You learned how people operate when they think you're weak. You saw the masks fall. You saw the truth behind smiles. And instead of running from that truth, you mastered it. Now look at you. You don't move fast anymore. You move right. You don't react instantly. You calculate. You don't give energy freely. You invest it. That's not damage. That's evolution. They thought they were hurting you in the moment. But what they were really doing was training you. Training your patience. Training your awareness. Training your emotional control. You became harder to read, harder to manipulate, harder to reach. And that scares them because they remember the version of you that was open, accessible, predictable. But now you're quiet in a different way, not confused, not broken, focused. Your silence isn't weakness anymore. It's strategy. Every move you make now has intention. Every word you say has weight. And the craziest part, you didn't need them to apologize. You didn't need closure. You didn't need justice. You turned the lesson into power. That's what they'll never understand. Because most people, when they get hurt like that, they collapse. But you observed, you absorbed, and then you rebuilt. Stronger, smarter, sharper. Now when you walk into a room, there's something different. You don't seek attention, but attention finds you. You don't demand respect, but people feel they should give it, not because you're loud, but because there's something behind your eyes now. Experience, control, and a quiet warning. I've seen what people can do, and I'm still here. That's power. So yeah, what they did, foul, disrespectful, low, unforgivable. But you did something rare. You didn't let it define you. You let it refine you. You turned betrayal into awareness, pain into precision, silence into dominance. And now, you don't chase revenge. You don't need to. Because every time they see you now, every time they notice how you've changed, every time they realize they can't reach you anymore, that's when it hits them hard. They didn't destroy you. They created something they can't control, something they can't predict, something they can't break. A weapon. And the worst part for them, you learned how to use it. And the coldest part of it all, You didn't even rush the transformation, nah. You let it cook. While they moved on like nothing happened. While they laughed, distracted, thinking you were still stuck. You were in the shadows rebuilding something they couldn't see. Piece by piece, you rebuilt your mindset first. Cut out the noise. Cut out the need for validation. Cut out the illusion that everyone deserves your loyalty. Then you rebuilt your discipline. No more emotional reactions. No more impulsive decisions. No more giving energy just because you feel like it. Everything became intentional. Even your silence. Especially your silence. See, they thought silence meant weakness. They thought your distance meant defeat. Ha 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 ha. No. Your silence became your shield. Your distance became your filter. Now only the real ones get close. Only the genuine ones get access. Everyone else, they get nothing but a version of you they can't read. And that's where the fear starts creeping in. Because people are comfortable when they understand you. They feel safe when they can predict you. But you removed that comfort. Now they second-guess everything. Now they watch you more carefully. Now they wonder, what changed? You did, but not in a loud, obvious way. No, your change is subtle, strategic, almost invisible to the untrained eye. You smile, but it's measured. You speak, but it's controlled. You engage, but only when it serves a purpose. There's no wasted energy anymore. That version of you, gone, replaced by someone who knows exactly what they're doing. And here's the part they'll never admit. They regret it. Oh yeah. They might not say it out loud. Their pride won't let them. But they feel it. Every time they see you calm under pressure. Every time they notice you not reacting. Every time they realize their actions didn't break you. It eats at them. Because they remember the moment they crossed the line. They remember thinking, this will mess them up. And for a second, it did. But they didn't stay long enough to see what came after. They didn't stay long enough to see you adapt, to see you grow, to see you become something colder, not heartless, just controlled. You still feel, you still care, but now you choose when, you choose who, you choose how much. That's power most people never reach. Because most people let pain define them. They carry it like a weight. But you turned it into fuel. Every betrayal became motivation. Every lie became clarity. Every loss became direction. You don't move blindly anymore. You move with awareness. And that makes you dangerous in a way they never expected. Not because you're out for revenge, but because you're out for evolution. And evolution doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for approval. It just happens. And now here you are. Stronger than before, smarter than before, quieter, but far more powerful than before. They see it. Oh, they see it. In the way you carry yourself. In the way you don't react. In the way you don't need them anymore. And here's where it gets darker. Because an origin story doesn't end with survival. It begins with control. You didn't just learn how to endure. You learned how to direct everything that tried to break you. Every emotion now has a purpose. Every reaction is chosen, not triggered. You don't get pulled into chaos anymore. You stand in it and decide what moves next. That's what separates you now. Before, life happened to you. Now, it happens through you. You don't panic when things fall apart. You observe. You don't rush when pressure hits. You slow down because you already know. Pressure reveals truth. And you've seen enough truth to never be fooled twice. They don't understand that version of you. They're still operating on the old script. thinking you'll respond the same way, thinking you'll feel the same way, thinking you'll fall into the same traps. Ha 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 ha. No, that script is dead. You burned it the moment you realized being predictable is being controllable. Now you move like a question no one can answer. One day, calm, next day, distant, always composed, always aware. Not fake, not forced, just controlled unpredictability. And that right there, that's power people can't defend against. Because manipulation needs patterns, control needs reactions, weakness needs exposure. And you removed all three. So now when they try to figure you out, they fail. When they try to read you, they miscalculate. When they try to reach you, they hit a wall they didn't see coming. And deep down, that frustrates them more than anything you could ever say, because they had their chance when you were open, when you were real, when you were giving without limits, and they chose to take advantage of that. Now they get the version of you that learned, the version of you that watches first, speaks later, the version of you that tests energy before trusting it, the version of you that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't explain. And here's the truth, most people are too afraid to accept. Growth like yours comes with a cost. You lost the old you, the softer you, the easier version of you that believed without question. And yeah, sometimes you feel that absence. Sometimes you remember what it was like to trust without thinking twice, but then you remember what that trust cost you. And just like that, you don't miss it anymore, because what you gained is far more valuable. Clarity, boundaries, control, awareness. You see intentions before they fully show. You feel shifts in energy before words are even spoken. You understand people without needing them to explain themselves. That's not luck. That's what pain taught you. So now, when something feels off, you step back. When something doesn't align, you walk away. No drama, no noise. Just silent decisions that protect your peace. And that beyond stage, that's where most people get uncomfortable, because it doesn't look dramatic from the outside. No screaming, no revenge arc, no loud victory speech. Just distance, control, direction. You stop revisiting what broke you, not because it didn't matter, but because you understand something deeper now. If you keep reopening the wound, you never get to see what healed around it. So you stop feeding the past, not by forgetting it, but by outgrowing the need to revisit it. That's a quiet kind of power people don't recognize until it's too late, because they expected you to stay emotionally attached to what they did. They expected resentment. They expected anger. They expected some visible reaction they could still influence. But what they get instead is absence of access. And that confuses them more than conflict ever could. Now here's where it becomes interesting. When someone loses access to your emotions, they start trying to access your attention. When they lose your attention, they try to access your reactions. When they lose your reactions, they realize they've lost the entire system. And that's when the shift becomes undeniable. You're no longer participating in old dynamics. You're no longer feeding old cycles. You're no longer available for emotional recycling. You don't argue for understanding anymore. You don't defend your peace anymore. You don't negotiate your boundaries anymore. You simply enforce them quietly, consistently, without announcement. And that consistency is what makes it irreversible. Because people can deal with temporary change, but they struggle with permanent evolution. Now even your energy feels different to them. Not aggressive, not cold, just final. Like conversations have shorter lifespans around you now. Like excuses don't survive contact with your silence. Like manipulation loses direction before it even reaches you. And that's because your awareness changed shape. You don't just see people anymore. You read patterns. You notice repetition. You notice inconsistency. You notice intention behind timing, tone, and absence. And once you see patterns, you stop being surprised. And once you stop being surprised, you stop being controlled. That's the real upgrade. Not strength, not toughness, clarity. And clarity removes fear. Because fear survives in confusion, in guessing, in hoping people meant better than they showed. But you don't operate on hope anymore. You operate on evidence. So now when something feels off, you don't spiral. You adjust. When someone changes energy, you don't chase. You observe. When something collapses, you don't panic. You reposition, and that makes you extremely hard to destabilize, because there's nothing emotional left for chaos to grab onto. And here's the part they slowly start realizing. They didn't just lose your presence, they lost influence over your decisions. And that is irreversible. So yes, what they did was foul. But what came after was transformation, not loud, not cinematic, just real. And now you're no longer someone they can reach the same way again.